welcome back to Just Another Football Podcast. Back again. Sorry it's a day late, but it's okay. We're getting on. Today I have George and a properly angry and up for it and ready Harry. How are you boys? I would say, how's your weekend, Harry, and everything, but
yeah,
I know how it is. Me too.
Well, the thing is, I'm quite calm now. I'm surprised you've introduced me like that. Actually,
Okay.
I think compared to last night, had we recorded last night, I've kind of mellowed through the. Lucky, I was at work today, so I've had something else to focus on for the day.
Good.
It's out the system. There's been a detox, and I'm ready to just sit down and rationally break stuff down. There definitely won't be any outbursts, I can promise.
It's better being the last sort of game of the week than being the first one as well, because if it's the first one on the Saturday and you lose and lose maybe unjustly or maybe not unjustly, but with certain events happening, it just ruins your weekend. So fortunately it was right at the end for you.
Yeah, it's a good take on it. That is actually.
Yeah. I'm glad we didn't record last night too, because it was an awful. Overall, it's a bad week. It was a bad weekend for me, because as you boys know, I work for Philadelphia Union, including the reserve team games. And what happened yesterday was the Union 2 are having like a proper push for the playoffs, and there are 3 other teams that we're competing with, and there's 3 games to go now. So yesterday we played one of those teams and lost 2-1 in the 93rd minute. So that was the day after the Merseyside Derby, of course, and we'll talk about that at some point. Philadelphia Union themselves, like they're already in the playoffs and pushing for the league title, which is called the Supporters' Shield. It's not like the proper MLS title, but it's something. So we're making a push for that. And also, if you win it, you guarantee hosting the MLS Cup. So the MLS Cup is one game, not in a neutral venue. It's home advantage to whoever's highest place in the playoffs. So if we win the league, you get to host it, and we're pushing for that. So we won, which is huge, but LAFC won. The other side of LA in the MLS. So there's LAFC, who are top of the league standings at the moment. LAFC are struggling to get into the playoffs. Galaxy, asterisk. They're the biggest team in the United States still. And they're struggling. Like, they're properly still pushing for a playoff spot. And there's a tweet I sent you right before we got on. It was from that game. Watch it with the commentary.
Okay.
And I'll put the audio for it in the background.
Okay. You want to play it out loud?
No, you play it on your own. I don't think I would.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Wow. I mean, that that's quite something. He almost reaches the goal before the ball itself.
Yeah.
He just carries on running.
So that commentary is brilliant. Just burst out laughing.
Did you watch it with the commentary, Harry?
No.
Watch it with the commentary.
I didn't want to play it. I didn't want to play it out loud.
Yeah, you can.
I'll watch it with the sound. Here we go.
So what they're watching right now is... Okay.
Oh my god.
So what the boys just watched was Chicharito.
That's brutal.
Of Man United, of course.
Brutal.
And Real Madrid, now the LA Galaxy, their captain. They're pushing for playoffs. He'd had a brace, and they were drawing 2-2 in the 94th minute, or whatever it was in added time. Last kick of the game, and he tried to Panenka the penalty. And the goalkeeper just caught it.
Let me ask you this, right?
Go on.
What Sky Sports pundit would you have us most likely to react like that on commentary to someone doing an equivalent thing in the Premier League?
Micah Richards.
Laughing.
Micah Richards. That's a great shout.
He doesn't quite do the co-commentary though, does he?
No, but I'm saying if he was on co-commentary,
I
think he'd have to be him, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It'd have to be him.
Interesting question though. That's an interesting.
Yeah. No, I think it would be Micah Richards. He wouldn't even mean to be sort of like mean about it. He just finds this sort of stuff comical, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Gary Neville just with his ooh.
The all meter.
I feel bad for him though because he just scored a penalty 6 minutes before, or actually 10 minutes before.
Nah, you deserve everything you get. If you
So
Panenka it like that and miss, it's fair game.
yeah,
It's fair
I would
game.
tend to agree, but I feel some sort of sympathy for him. So that was the MLS.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that out in the ether because I thought you'd find it funny.
Yeah,
No, that is fine. I wouldn't find it funny if it was an Arsenal player. Can you imagine? Like, good God.
Well, you didn't find the Arsenal Man United game funny either, did you?
Smoothly done, mate. Smooth
Yeah!
transition. You're getting good at this transition stuff, mate.
Love it. I'm getting the experience in.
You have. No, I didn't find it funny. I obviously I've had a day to reflect on it, and I don't know. Like, if you'd said to me before the game, you're going to lose 3-1. I would have been pretty angry, I think, with it, because I'd have just assumed, yeah, we must have played poorly, not turned up, seen it way too many times at Old Trafford where we haven't put in a performance when we've gone in there as probably the favourites. This wasn't that. Now, I will talk about it from our perspective. I will give United credit first. I think that look, it's not pretty at the moment, but they're getting results, and I think that's what they had to do. That was the immediate step. And we said this after they lost to Brentford. You got to get back to basics, and you've got to just put your footballing philosophy to the side for now, and get results, because it's all good coming in and wanting to have an idea of how you want to play football long term, but you won't get that far if you don't get the results in the short term. You'll lose the players, you'll lose the fans, the media will be on your back, and so I think as much as look, they've spent a lot of money again. They've spent 227 million in this transfer window, so they should expect improvement. I think we've got to give them credit for getting the results they have from the last 4 fixtures, because on paper they're not easy games. And yes, it's been attritional rather than free flowing, but you can't argue with 12 points from 12. From an Arsenal perspective, look, there's some sliding door moments in the game for sure. Like, let's start with the disallowed goal. Right now, I was quite angry when it was disallowed. My reflection upon it is, I'm not that upset. There were far worse decisions over the weekend. What I am interested in, however, is when I watch the replay again, I'm not drawn necessarily to the foul. I'm drawn to the position of the referee, who has a very, very clear view of it. And so what I don't think you could level at him here is he doesn't see the challenge, right? He does see the challenge. He's told to go and watch the monitor. What's interesting about this is he takes a long time to overrule it. Now, people might argue maybe he's being a bit melodramatic. Maybe he's trying to give the impression that, given what's gone on this weekend, they're trying to do their due diligence and make sure they're not too quick to overturn stuff. But I am interested what he saw there that he didn't see the first time. Because I think in real time he thought, a little bit of contact, but Eriksen goes down softly, which is still my opinion. I still think that, is it a foul? Probably marginally. Is it a mistake? Is it a clear and obvious? And the reason I bring that up is that's their rhetoric. That's what they peddle to us as paying punters of the Premier League, and that's their party line. Is it's clear and obvious, and that's what we're looking for. I don't think it's clear and obvious. If we want minimum interference, then I don't want fouls given for stuff like that. And look, if it were an Arsenal player that had been fouled and they'd scored, would I want a free kick? Yeah, probably. Yeah. But like, that's human nature. And so I suppose that's a moment in the game where, had we scored then, I think we'd have gone on to win, because I think Man United in their current state need to be playing with a lead, because then they can do what they did, which is sit back in transition, draw teams on, and hit them on the counter-attack, because I just don't think at the moment they have the quality to play in settled play and pin teams back, which is what we did. And so I think upon reflection, guys, like, I've been very critical of Arsenal for going to Man United and some of the other games in the past few years and playing the occasion. I can't accuse them of that on this occasion. We didn't play the occasion. We played what was in front of us. And I would say because Man United started the game pretty fast, I'd say from about the 15th minute to the 70th minute, it was one-way traffic, and we got caught on 2 counter-attacks, and then he made those subs. And I think, to be honest, everything that happened after he made those subs, I'm not putting that much weighting on it, because I just think he threw the kitchen sink too early. But look, if we play like that, we'll beat a lot of teams this season. And I'm more enthused by the performance than I thought I would have been, to come back to my original point, if you told me we're going to lose 3-1. And so, not majorly concerned. Man United are going to do that to teams. They've already done it to Liverpool. I think we'll be fine, to be honest. I think it's one of those things where the performance was better than the result on the day, and that can happen.
See, I watched the first half, and then the second half I had to listen to on the radio. BBC 5 Live actually are doing a really cool thing now. I don't know if it's new, but they have a world service, so anyone in the world can listen to their broadcast, which is really cool. So I was able to listen to the second half. It looked like United were able to overturn a lot of Arsenal possession moments and turn them into goals.
I would.
I'm not a fan of the way Arsenal conceded the second and third goal.
No, neither am I. Neither am I.
As a minor concern, at least.
I'm really frustrated, but and I tweeted this earlier. I think we're learning to be a good team. I've never seen us play that higher line and push a team back like that. In a game of that magnitude, I've never seen us have that approach. And so there's going to be a few teething issues. Where I'm really frustrated is we had to work so hard to score one goal in this game. It was pretty much 55 minutes of constant one-way pressure to eventually create a goal. They had to play their first goal. In fairness, is pretty well worked. I've watched it back. There's something like 18 passes. They go back, and I was fooled at the time into thinking it was in transition, and it sort of was, but it was in transition after they'd sort of passed it back and then got back through.
Yeah.
But the second and third goals are really easy, and I'm really frustrated with that because, as I said, we had to work far harder to get a foothold in the game, and I think once we did, we had all the momentum. It was something like between half-time and their second goal, so when they scored it, it was 22% to 78%. And I know sometimes people go, possession could be a bit of a dead statistic, but we had them pinned back. I know Ten Hag said after the game that he wasn't concerned. He must have been concerned because there's no way the game plan was to be that deep and literally just have one outlet in Rashford, who, granted, is a good runner in behind. He's a threat, but that's the frustration because we played really well I think between half time and their second goal was as good as we played this season. When you consider the occasion, when you consider they were a goal up, the first goal at Old Trafford is so key. They show that statistic all the time where they've never lost a game when leading at half time at Old Trafford. So I'll come back to it. That first goal is key. Once they get it, you're really fighting an uphill battle to go on and win the game. And I think we just tried to go for it. And do you know what? Is a point that important in the context of things? Maybe for morale, maybe because people, going, Arsenal haven't beaten anyone this season in their first test and they failed it. But for me, I don't mind us going for the 3 points. Now, if we keep getting done going for the 3 points, then maybe I'll feel a bit differently. But on this occasion, as I said, I've complained in the past that we've played the occasion and not the opposition. And so I'd be a hypocrite to sit here and tell you guys that I'm annoyed we went for it. I'm actually quite excited that we look like we're going to go for stuff this season and be attacking and go for teams. I think we'll win a lot more games that way than we will lose them.
And you actually look like the bigger team. I know that's a little bit. It's hard to sort of measure, especially with different styles of play. But you look like you're taking it by the scruff of its neck.
We look further ahead,
which
is fair, which is expected.
Not just because of possession either. The patterns of play was there. Odegaard was fantastic. He was absolutely brilliant, I thought. And look, everyone says on another day it might have been different, but genuinely I thought Arsenal were really great. And now that you are starting to play that, it does feel like sort of Arteta's beginning to cement his philosophy a little bit. It's going to get more and more frustrating because you will have teams that will park the bus. Chelsea have it, City have it, and
that means that you're a good side when teams start doing it.
Absolutely, that's what I was going to say. Is that is in a way a
sign of respect.
Reflection. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I totally agree, and I think that it's a sign of how far we've come in the last year, to be honest with you, because I think in that same fixture last season, we lost it, and we actually lost 3-2, and people go, "Oh, well, that's a better scoreline." We lost last season out of cowardice. This season, it's a loss. I don't mean to spread toxic positivity here, but we lost going for it, and I'm absolutely fine with that. And I think we'll beat a lot of teams this season by going for it. And if you're talking about going for the title, then fine. Yeah, Man City wouldn't lose that game. Like Liverpool of the last few seasons wouldn't lose that game. But we're not at that level yet. Let's not kid ourselves. I know we still sit top of the league and we've been great this season, but we're still a couple of years away from challenging. And so I'm fine with it. Like, it's always annoying to lose to United, always annoying to lose to them and their fans, and they're giving a stick all week. But like, it is what it is. Like, ultimately, let me ask you guys this: having watched that game yesterday, which team do you think will have more solutions to win games over the course of 38 games? Is it us or them?
At the moment, I would say you guys, and just say I think it's a very healthy thing to know your level and like realize that it's despite what was before a perfect start. It's not gonna be always this way, but you are ahead of Man United now. But I would say United are starting to find more ways of doing things. The goal is a perfect example of that, and it's something a lot of teams lack now, especially Liverpool. And I hope this is fixed with Artur, and we'll get into that in more detail.
Just wait, Ali. You'll get your chance.
I know. Christian Eriksen's pass to Bruno Fernandes in that goal. I think that's what makes the perception that it was a fast break, because he just lasers one on the ground from way into his midfield to way past midfield and into the final third to Bruno Fernandes, and it looks like a transitional moment, but there were like 10 passes before that or whatever it was, maybe more.
Yeah, the first goal, you mean?
For the first goal, yeah.
Yeah.
That was amazing, and it tells you that they now have more tools, I suppose.
Eriksen's key for them.
Anthony on the other side, so you have Christian Eriksen is more left-sided now. I think that's a healthy way for them to have a like midfield structure of Casemiro / Fred, Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes. It's a good balance about it.
Yeah.
Anthony has taken Cristiano Ronaldo's place permanently, I think, as well. So there's a option.
I think
carrying wise,
Eriksen's going to be key for them. I think they need, the difficulty they're going to have is, let's be honest, he had a heart attack only a year ago, just over a year and a bit ago. Like, he can't play every game this season, and I think you see in some of them, like the energy levels aren't quite there to maintain it. He was fantastic yesterday. Like, he was the best player on the pitch and played a key part in all 3 goals. They need him to play 80% of the games this season, I think, to have any aspirations of finishing close to the top 4, because I don't think they have a player that can play that deeper role. Like, it shows, I think, what a good footballer he is, that isn't anywhere near his first position, but he's making it work. He's getting tight to the number 6, taking the ball off him and playing passes between the lines. I've never really seen him play that role. I didn't think he had the engine to do it, and I'm still a bit skeptical, but he's making it work in a way that I don't think the likes of Fred and McTominay, if you pushed him forward, and Van der Beek and Bruno, I just don't think anyone else you put there can recreate the quality that he shows in that position. And so they have to keep him, like, they've got to wrap him in cotton wool a little bit, because I do think they're going to have to manage his load. If I was a Man United fan, I certainly wouldn't want to see him playing any of the Europa League games at any point. I think when the schedule gets a bit congested, they need to be smart with his minutes. He's played 3 games in a week this week, and I don't think he'll be able to do that all season. But he's key for them. I must say, I'm still not convinced with them. I still think question marks remain about how can they sustain pressure, how can they build attacks. Are all their goals going to be scored in transitional moments? I think while there's signs of them being able to build play a bit better, I think there's still questions about what they do with the ball when the opposition let them have it. And so I'm going to reserve judgment on that, but it's a great result for them. And 4 wins in a row, as I said earlier, is inconceivable, really, when you consider where they were, not keeping clean sheets. And, obviously they've made a couple of changes to the back line, and that's helped them massively. And it'll be interesting to see now, because you've got a few sides that have sort of stumbled at the blocks a little bit, and it's all kind of tightened up a little bit with Arsenal losing this weekend. Man City dropped points. Obviously, Man City play Spurs next weekend, which is a big game, and it's all getting quite tight. I think you're starting to see that, while Liverpool and Chelsea have stumbled and Man United didn't start well, like when you get to that sort of 10, 15 game mark, I think the table will take shape a bit more. But good result for Man United. Obviously, hate to see it, but got to give them credit for that.
Important to remember that we're 6 game weeks in, and there are multiple players that are yet to make their debut for the clubs they just signed for on deadline day. So there's a lot to be changed. There's a lot to be decided. Brighton aren't going to remain in the top 4. Amazing performance against Leicester City. They should have won by more than 5, and it is Leicester. But they're not going to stay in the top 4, are they? That would be pretty
quite the story, wouldn't it?
If it happens, yeah, it would be quite the
performance. I said they were going to do well this season.
So did I.
Yeah.
Happy with that.
But
right,
yeah, the shape of the schedule is going to change entirely. Leeds 9th, Fulham 10th. Don't think Fulham are going to stay there much longer. Leicester bottom. There's potential there to be changed. West Ham,
obviously Nottingham will be bottom soon. So
yeah, West Ham the relegation zone. Liverpool 7th. Hopefully that changes.
Yeah.
And speaking of Liverpool, it's time to move. It's time to move on to get a more depressed Just Another Football podcast.
It is. We're going to do a little roles reversal here. So Liverpool 0-0 draw at Everton. Now, they probably got a bit lucky on the day to get out with a draw. Disallowed goal. Everton missed some chances. I know Liverpool, hit the woodwork maybe 3 times, was it? They could have scored a goal, but it never felt like they quite controlled the game. And it's kind of been the story of the season, really. The number of times that an opposition player has kind of skipped through that Liverpool midfield on a breakaway this season, it must be getting concerning, Ali. How... maybe this will transition to a conversation about Arthur and what he can add to that Liverpool midfield.
I'm so excited.
How concerned are you at this point with kind of what you're seeing on a week-to-week basis?
Extremely. In no uncertain terms. Absolutely. So I feel like it's not... There's a lot of perception in, the Liverpool fan base, and obviously that's all coming from social media, that we're in a bit of a transitional moment. Well, no. I think we just declined. This transfer window, we just declined. In the past 2, the previous summer as well. We've just the overall quality of the squad has been declining because the midfield age has been getting older, and we've not had plans to replace any of them immediately until we got Arthur in. But Henderson's now 31. Milner cannot play for 90 minutes in a single game, let alone 2 in a row. I saw a tweet that was pretty spot on. Man City 5-0 up, bring on Kevin De Bruyne. We at 1-1 bring on James Milner.
Yeah.
In a game that we should have not won against Newcastle. Not because the goal was scored too late. I think the added time was justifiable, but it's because Alexander Isak looked onside to me in that second goal.
Yeah, I agree.
So that shouldn't be forgotten. So we've won 1 game out of 6 this season convincingly so far. It's unlike us to be outran, outthought in moments, outclassed in midfield. And just generally have lower quality than the opposition multiple times within 6 games. Absolutely, Jordan Pickford played one of the games of his life. And that's quite a statement because he's had quite a few pretty incredible games despite his inconsistencies. But Salah has had 4 shots on target in 6
I was going to
games.
ask you about this. Yeah, but he's creating a lot of chances. So it seems like that.
It's not worth it. It's not.
I was going to say. Well, yeah. I think you've already answered my question, but it's essentially he's taken on the role of, in the absence of Thiago, he's taken on the role of sitting a bit deeper and creating. And I know obviously Trent's not having the best start to the season by that Bournemouth game, but surely you want Salah closer to the goal. He's by far the best finisher and biggest goal threat at the club, and it just baffles me when I see him stood out there with. I know, look, he's good enough to make it work, but the problem is you then lose him where I think he's of a greater.
Yeah.
He's a greater strength to the team, which is in and around the box. It's just crazy to me, absolutely crazy.
What's happened is that we bought Luis Diaz a bit hurriedly in January, and it worked out. He's amazing, and he has been for the 6 months he's been at the club, or 8 now. The last 6 months of last season, I meant to say. Then we had, at that point, Luis Diaz, Mane, Salah as our front three. Firmino has been off for a while, and maybe he's just past his peak. That's just something that happens to any player. Mane's gone, and Mane went in probably the high point of his career. And the replacement is Darwin Núñez, which I'm a fan of the approach. I'm a fan of, changing in a way that Man City did with Haaland. We've talked about it a lot, but the other point of bringing a young striker in for the long haul in the peak of his career on a 6-year contract, someone with I would say very, very high potential. He's too raw to change Salah's role completely to accommodate him and have the most prolific player, goal-scoring wise, in the club's history abandon the concept of goal scoring. Almost. Why? Why are we doing this?
You made the sort of Haaland comparisons, but I don't think you can compare Núñez to Haaland.
Oh no, I'm not comparing them. I'm comparing the approach, of having them.
Yeah, but the problem with that is you're paying more for Núñez for a less proven player.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's very raw.
Yeah.
And I can very much speak on buying players for 70 million plus.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out very often. It doesn't, and Man City have found that as well. And they rarely pay over 60 million for a player. They'll get 3 or 4 players for 60 million. But they won't have that added pressure of having to score goals, and especially when they're young. I think that there's a problem with that sort of approach for me. Not the Liverpool approach of bringing in sort of young talent, and bleeding them in. That's not what it used to be about. I think this is different with Núñez, and I could see it not working out. Quite truthfully. Mane's a huge loss as well, and I think it's been pretty evident in terms of seeing out games recently.
Yeah, hugely. But now I think the main problem is having the one man that is able to score goals for us completely switched for someone that's not proven.
Yeah,
and it's weakened us, and it's annoying. And we don't have any playmakers, but now that we have Arthur, this must change. It must change. If we're so something I said offline and not in the podcast, but in general, internet chats, is if we're a serious club, we'd be buying 2 midfielders, rather than bringing it on loan. But whatever, it's hurried. I don't think we were thinking about Arthur at all. And last episode I said, I'm confident that Liverpool will be signing players that they know they want to buy, and they've known for a long time they want to. Thoroughly scouted players. I doubt Arthur is that. And the other thing is, Arthur has been a bench player for Juventus and Barcelona.
Yeah.
It's barely ever played more than 15 90s a season. So you're bringing yet another injury-prone player to add to the long list of injury-prone players that we already have, and has been the main problem because we've been deprived of Naby Keita and Thiago so far. None of them played because of injury.
Yeah.
So I'm just baffled. It seems to have been.
It's a bit of a Hail Mary, I think. I honestly, because I can speak Arsenal were looking for a midfielder in the last few days of the window as well, and I just don't think there's that many quality available options out there at the moment. In truth, like I think you have to take a bit of a punt on someone, and this is a guy. Look, we were having a look at him in January, and then didn't end up going for it, but doesn't mean he can't be a good player. That is what I will say. Like, not every transfer. And it was why I was really critical that we didn't get something over the line in the last few days of the window. Not every transfer has to be you've planned it and scouted them for ages and you've been watching. You can. I'm not saying there'll be a world beater, but you can get players that come in and make you better, and it doesn't have to be the perfect 5-year plan. They come to make you better in the short term. You don't have to be wedded to them for seasons to come, and I think that's the idea of this loan move. He comes in, he's got a chance to get his stock back up, and Liverpool hopefully get a player that's motivated, and more importantly, he's a good player. He's good on the ball. He can offer you more control, which I think has been the biggest problem in that midfield. Is their use of the ball isn't particularly great, and I think in transition they're getting caught. Now, I'm not critical of Harvey Elliott or Carvalho playing on Saturday, because I think that's a big arsenal to play a game like that, especially in the system Liverpool play, where they do get the 8s high. And I know they cover the fullbacks as well. It's a big ask for those guys. It's a lot of running. It's a lot of covering. It's bloody tough to play in that team in centre midfield, which is why I'm surprised it's not been addressed earlier.
Yeah. On top of that, I think, to be fair, on the midfield issue, you got to give credit to Everton's transfer window in terms of bringing in Onana and Idrissa Gana. Both incredible players. Onana's 20 years old. They bought him for 30 million. This is a wise.
It's surprisingly good.
Very good. It's Dwight McNeil, 21 million. Look, he's English. You're gonna have to overpay. Tarkowski for free. Connor Cody on a loan. Look, as much as he's not England standard, as I think
he's better than England. He's better than
he's better than what they had, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you've also got players like sort of James Garner coming in from United, a young player they can bring on for years to come, and then Mopai, who
he's the level.
He did exactly.
Obviously not your favourite.
So I was at a wedding over the weekend and watching the game with a load of my family, and my cousin turned to me and he goes, "It's like a right back playing up front. Like he literally just runs round, chases everything energetically. But it's hilarious when he gets in front of goal.
Yeah, he's poor.
It's like he's never thought of the idea of putting the ball in the net. It is quite comical, but he's better than no striker. That is what I will say. I don't think he'll get loads of goals for them, but he probably gives them more of a focal point, and it means that you can play Anthony Gordon in his preferred position, and he looks far more dangerous. He's not a number 9. He's not a number 9, and he looked a lot better in this game, coming off the flank in those transitions. So you got to give Everton credit, as much as Lampard gets some stick, and I still think the jury's out.
I think he's been good.
He's got them solid. I was going to say he's got them solid, hasn't he? They've had some tough games on paper. They've had a couple of tricky away games, and they could have. They took the lead in both of them against Everton, against Brentford, and against Leeds. They could have won those games. And I think they could have won this game. So they deserve some credit for that. Any more to add on Liverpool, Ali, or have we exhausted you?
Yes, you have. The one thing I will say is that, football fans in general don't know what's going to happen in the future. That's just humans. But on the other hand is that they don't know what's the thinking behind the scenes, or what circumstantially is happening, or anything like that. And hence the short-term based opinions and the short-termism in general in the fan base. That's definitely happening right now in Liverpool, and the mood is not optimistic, and rightly so.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's the worst start under Jurgen Klopp. There's the whole 7-year thing where Jurgen Klopp got relegated in his 7th year, finished with Dortmund 7th year, and this is the 7th year. There's fears about that. I don't know what to expect anymore, but at this point, I'm just saying, let's wait and see. Have the full squad now. Arthur's come in. Hopefully, he starts every single game, because we need a playmaker. Just got Salah playing the preferred role, and let's see what happens from there. But
I think a positive in terms of keeping Klopp, as in not sacking him at the very least, is that I think Liverpool owners and board are happy to regress at this stage in terms of keep as a top 4 club, not a title challenge club. That's dangerous, in my opinion. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. Look at their spending.
I would say, Ali, you did sort of not. You've not necessarily put it in George's words, but you did say just a short time ago that a proper club would have signed 2 centre midfielders, not loaned one.
Yeah, it's not just that, but they've won 1 title in 6-7 years. A club like City, a club like Chelsea, would sack their manager. It doesn't matter if it's your.
It's a different business model. It is because they're
happy to regress over a season, maybe 2 seasons, if not 3 or 4. To stay Champions League in order to keep the cycle going. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I just think they'll give Klopp more time for him to probably walk away.
He's earned it, mate. They played it. Do you know what I think it is? Like, honestly, if we're being sensible about what's going on at Liverpool at the moment, they've had a few injuries. They've lost one of their best players over the last 5 years. They played every available game last season and came up just short of winning at least a treble. I just think there's a bit of a hangover from it. And I think that, no team is perfect. I think you saw Man City stumbled out the gates a bit last season and the season before. Like, they started a bit slow and got into a groove. I'm not saying Liverpool will do that. I'm not saying they'll win the league. But I also don't think there's a crisis. I just think that they're sort of a bit short in centre midfield at the moment. And they're not quite getting the balance right with Núñez and Salah up there. But I think they'll figure it out. I still think they'll get in the top 4 at the very least.
I think they'll get top 4, but the model isn't. It sounds odd because everyone talks about sustainable and unsustainable models. Their model's obviously sustainable, but in terms of winning titles, it's unsustainable. They can't win titles with the likes of City, Chelsea, United, even Tottenham and Arsenal spend.
I do agree with that.
They're not going to win titles. They're just not.
No, I think the problem is you're basically, if you look at what Liverpool did to win their title in 2019-20, they kept a very small core group of players fit for pretty much all the season, right? And they made some fantastic signings. They got all their recruitment right. They assembled a fantastic 1 to 11, and they put that out there for 30 odd games, and were brilliant for that season. The problem is, to do that, you're relying on getting so many things right, and then then you saw the previous seasons that 97 points, and they came up short. That's what you're up against in Man City, who will just keep spending. They'll add an Erling Haaland. They'll probably add another superstar next summer, but it's difficult to expect them to keep up with the spending, that's being funded by a nation state. Like, it's hard. It's bloody hard to keep up with that. I can't be that critical of them for that. And so it's just one of those things. But I look, it's easy for me to say I don't have a vested interest. I wouldn't be losing any shit just yet if I was a Liverpool fan. I think you've got to wait for Thiago to come back. You've got to wait for Jota to come back fully. Mm-hmm. Give it more time. Give him till the end of the season.
Give it to the end of the season.
Give it to the end of the season.
I'm not losing my shit. I just
I know you're not.
Agree with the transfer strategy.
I look,
fully disagree,
mate. I was
okay with, and I said this before for the record, the strategy of slightly downgrading for long-term gains is fine because we don't necessarily have many problems scoring goals in terms of selling Mane, bringing Darwin Núñez. But we're short of players. We're short of players. And in the Champions League, what's interesting is not registering either Oxo or Naby Keita. It either says something about their futures at the club respectively, or the nature of the injuries they have at the moment.
Probably a bit of both, I think.
Maybe. I think with Ox, it's probably
more terminal.
Yeah. With Keita.
I agree with that. Yeah.
We'll see.
Moving on, because there is plenty more to discuss, and we could waffle on about Liverpool all night. Some controversial VAR decisions this weekend. Now, we're going to come on to talk about them. I firstly just want to quickly pick George's brains. One of the decisions came in the Chelsea-West Ham game. Chelsea squeezing over the line. It wasn't convincing again. It wasn't great. They didn't create much. Another mistake from Mendy.
Yeah.
How concerned are you, to pose the same question that I posed to Ali, with what you're seeing every week in Chelsea at the moment?
I'm concerned now because of how much we spent. We should be challenging for the title. There's absolutely you can't say it any other way. I wish we weren't. Wish we weren't challenged for our title. I wish that the spending hadn't been so extreme, because now Tuchel's got a massive target on his back. It's absolutely huge now. We've got to push for it. It's not unachievable, but it's unlikely if you look at the way we're playing at the moment. I think there's real problems with how we set up the team. Mendy's the biggest problem. He has to go now. It's absolutely time to go. And luckily he wasn't that expensive, so it's not catastrophic if he does go. But clearly, it's the same as at United. We're having to change our style of play in terms of his passing out from the back isn't superb. On top of that, his only saving grace beforehand, you're thinking back to the Champions League shot stopping. He doesn't have that anymore. Clearly, I don't know whether, and I don't think he's got enough stock either. He's not got that in the bank, sort of credit in the bank to keep him in this Chelsea team effectively, because he's done it over a Champions League season, but he's not really done it over a Premier League season, in my opinion. So there are real concerns, and then obviously there's concerns going forward. But I think Chelsea will always have that in terms of the low blocks. We're always going to really struggle. I think Brozier's brilliant. When he came on, he really changed the game.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
the assist for Havertz. So I think it's really clear, and we've given him a 5-6 year deal, so it's clear he's going to stay. It's whether he gets the game time, whether Tuchel's brave enough not to play players like Havertz. Really concerning.
Yeah. I pretty much agree with everything you said there. It's pretty succinctly said there. So that brings us on then to the controversial incident in the game. Now,
what was it?
Didn't see it, mate. Didn't see the Arsene Wenger. Didn't see it. Look,
you were at the wedding.
I actually was. I didn't see this live, but I saw everyone going mad about it on Twitter and quickly had a look. I mean, I've got to say, it's not the worst decision of the weekend, which we will come to.
What is the worst decision of the weekend?
It's got to be Newcastle. It's got to be the Newcastle. I think what's gone on here is ball's played through. Mendy gets there first. He can't hold it, and you can argue whether that is a mistake again, but he can't hold it. Gets a kick. And cons the ref. Let's be frank about this. He cons the ref. There's no way that the kick causes him to spill the ball. Now, then it comes down to, does the kick stop him getting to Cornet, who puts in the top corner? And it doesn't. I think anyone that's played the game knows he's pushed it out. It's gone to Cornet, who's put it in, and he stayed down. And I think that causes the referee or cause the VAR to get the referee to have a look, and the rest is all she wrote. But
I completely disagree. I'm genuine. No, and
I can't see how you can.
So one of the reasons, Bowen has intentionally left his foot in there. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind about that. I'm not saying whether it's debatable enough for it to be enough force to hurt him or whatever it may be to keep him down. That is another question. The second point I would make is, if a player in the middle of the pitch gets to the ball first and then is clipped afterwards and they go down, it is 100% a foul. It is a foul. So I don't understand why people are treating this differently to that sort of situation. He has gone in, studs up, because he's riding Mendy. He hits him with his right foot and his left. He clips him with the bottom of his boot on the right boot, and then leaves his left leg in. To me, I understand why they've overturned it. It's somewhat soft, but it's a foul.
Are you kidding me?
No,
I don't think that's the worst argument I've ever heard.
Mendy's clearly getting to the ball first.
He's clearly not hurt.
Plenty. He's not hurt. That's why he has conned the ref. But if we're talking about conning the ref,
no, it's
as if
new.
that doesn't happen in every game.
You
talk about Eriksen. Yeah, you talk about Eriksen.
No, of course.
Little fouls in the middle of the pitch. They're trying to stop. To be fair, they're trying to say that
I think your point, though. I think your point about it being given as a foul if it happens in the centre circle, for example, someone gets the ball first and then kicks it away.
Then there's a clip.
Yeah, and you're right. It usually does get given as a foul. My opinion is those shouldn't be fouls. If you kick the ball away and then you're fouled, the foul hasn't caused you to lose possession. The ball's already gone. It's already.
I think it depends on the force and whether.
I don't think there's a lot of force here, mate.
No, but that's also whether that person could not have fouled you. So if someone's come in and there's a little clip, then I get that.
Let me ask you this: is it clearly and obviously an error?
No. That is why.
And I think, again, this is kind of what it...
No,
but it is a foul, Ali.
No,
it is a foul.
If the goal stands, it stands.
No, but it is a foul.
I think the two things actually can coexist. It can be a foul, but also not a clear and obvious error. I don't happen to think it's a foul because of Mendy's reaction to it. He isn't hurt. It's not excessive force. He could have easily got up. Like you see it with goalkeepers. It does happen, George, where goalkeepers get to the ball first.
Oh yeah.
Spill it, and the ball runs loose, and there is contact. They just don't get given as fouls because I think it is different for a goalkeeper. They should hold it, right? They can pick the ball up. And so maybe that, to answer your earlier question, is why it's held to a different standard. I just think that anyone's played the game of football can see what's happened there. And I just don't think common sense was applied. Now, speaking of common sense not being applied, I think you've got to go then up to St James's Park, which I think this is far worse. This is actually far worse.
It actually made my blood.
Yeah, I no love lost for Newcastle after what they did to us last season and kind of where their money's coming from, etc., etc. But this is really bad. Now, how on earth you can look at that where it's a clear push from Tyreek Mitchell, pushes Willock into the goalkeeper and gets his just desserts with the ball coming loose, coming off him and running into the net.
And even if you apply the sort of thought process of it's a foul, then and then you argue, okay, well, it's a foul, but you can't go so far back in the play that it's a penalty. Exactly. Imagine, for example, I raise you this situation. Imagine someone gets 2-footed from behind the running on goal, and that causes them to fall into the keeper and hurt the keeper. That wouldn't be given as a free kick. That's a penalty. He's been hacked down and fell into the keeper and then hurt the keeper, whatever it may be. Yeah. That's the same situation as just what's happened in a slightly different way. It's ludicrous.
I will say this is not the first time it's happened in the Premier League, and it happened before COVID. 2019, I think.
That's great, man. That's great recall.
Yeah, I couldn't.
It was a Chelsea United game in Stamford Bridge. It ended 2-2. It was the same game that Harry Maguire kicked Tammy Abraham the nuts, and
no, it was 2-0. I know what you're saying. Batshuayi was pushed. No, it was someone was pushed. Yeah, Azpilicueta scored.
Pushed the keeper, and then
that's right. That's great
like
memory. That's great. No, I recall that from a corner.
I'll tell you why I remember it. It's because I don't forget about refereeing errors, because the one thing I hate in the world the most is injustice in any form. Premier League referees
what it is?
Do not know how to apply justice because none of them have a basic understanding of common sense. And every single one of you watching and every single one of you listening and all of us 4 co-hosts of Just Another Football Podcast and anybody else that is a casual fan of soccer that has a basic training for referees, like if you go right now and get a basic training of how to apply VAR equipment, refereeing equipment, have a quick read of the rules, have a quick fitness test to make sure you're able to run for 90 minutes, you would do not only a better job, you would do a much better job than referees, because there's 2 things that are lacking: common sense and fitness. These 2 things do not exist in Premier League referees. It is a serious problem.
Disagree.
It's a serious problem, and it needs to be addressed before the Premier League loses its position as the number 1 most popular sport. That is my take every time there's a refereeing error like this. Harry's laughing. Remember what I said now. Remember what I said now. I'm
The
being
fitness
slightly
levels-
over the top, of course. But,
Yeah, the fitness levels of referees, are top notch. They are absolutely fine. What I would say,
Are you joking? They are
they
not.
are. They
They are
have
not.
to do.
John Moss just retired last year. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
no, they're absolutely fine because a person who can get through 90 minutes,
they're steaming
it's
by
not.
the end of it.
No. The
Absolutely
problem, no, but the problem with
amazing.
refs isn't fitness. The problem with refs is positioning, and like you said, being too anal with the rules. I think rather than applying common sense.
Well,
I think
you
there's
disagreed
weird.
with me because positioning depends on the
It doesn't depend on
fitness.
fitness. A fit person could not ref a Premier League game because they would not be in the right positions. It's very technical.
Yeah.
It's extremely technical.
Well, that's what I said
Someone
about
who
basic
just
training.
did a ref.
Because
Basic training does not keep you up with the speed of the modern game. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, that's the
slow
fitness issue.
No, but it's not a fitness issue. It's a positioning issue. You can move very little and be in the right positions as a referee. But I agree, common sense is ridiculously low at the moment.
I basically think
has been,
that
actually.
I'm at a point with it now where I almost want to go back to having something to complain about with the referees rather than this nonsensical spectacle that I'm subjected to as a fan that goes to the games. And there's utter contempt shown for us where you're in the ground and they essentially now have reached a point where they're reviewing goals and looking to disallow them rather than looking to give goals, which I think adds to the spectacle. You want more goals, you want more entertainment in the game, and we've reached a point now where every single goal is being raked through really, really to a degree that is just so over the top. And I'm at a point now with VAR, it might get marginally more decisions right. Like, look, there's no way to quantify this, but if they're looking at stuff for offsides, with however it's calibrated, and they're reviewing incidents, they should get more right than before. Yeah. But they're not getting enough right for me for it to make up for the entire detraction from the overall experience, which is essentially you score a goal and then your first thought is, oh shit, like no VAR, no disallay. That's what I honestly feel now when we score a goal. And I'm not just saying that because we had one ruled out yesterday. The first thought I have is if there's anything contentious, I'm not celebrating. I'm just waiting for it to be given, and then I'll celebrate. And that isn't what I want to feel as a match-going fan. And I just don't think at this point... Look, the problem is, and as much as I might sit here and say, I want it gone, it's not going anywhere. This is the problem. We made our bed with VAR, I think. Once it was implemented, I can't see them going back on it now. They'll put some bullshit out. Like I know they're investigating a couple of the incidents that we've spoken about over the weekend.
There's so much more.
They'll come to some nonsensical conclusion, and nothing will change. But it's just quite depressing, really, because this isn't football. This isn't what I care for. And as much as I used to moan and hammer referees, like, it was just a far more pure experience. You take the rough with the smooth, but you know where you are. When you score a goal, it's a goal. It's not. Yeah. It's been looked at for 3.5 minutes, and like we had one last season where they literally guessed an offside. They just guessed where Martinelli was against Brighton. They couldn't even see him with the angle of it, and they just like, yep, well, it looks offside, so we're giving it. Like we're assuming he's there. The defender's there. What is that? That's not football.
3 responses to this. Just about the offside thing very quickly. Well, that's part of the common sense part of it, right? Is that you're using like cameras from the 70s with 20 FPS to determine like micrometer offsides that are actually
and there is also there's also error in it. It's proven.
There is error. The other thing is that they aren't applying the most recent rule that there's a tolerance level now, so the lines are apparently like 5 millimeters thick, and if they're
touching, isn't it? Yeah.
If they're touching, well, Alexander Isak's offside against us is onside because the lines are on top of each other. The Demarai Gray offside against Leeds, the lines are on top of each other. They did not apply the rule. They didn't apply the rule. They don't know the rule.
And let's be honest, no one was complaining about those sort of decisions. This isn't what it's there for. It's not what it's there for.
Yeah, and that's another point about them not applying the rule, because like none of that stuff from last weekend is obvious. Like, however that means for them, whatever that means for them. The other thing is that, thank God, this week in the Champions League, we'll come to that in a second. The VAR is going to have a different implementation now. Is the semi-automated offside. So you have kind of a Hawkeye system where there's cameras all around, and they'll get it like from the exact line of the attacker and the defender, and then from a Hawkeye perspective, determine whether it's not or not it's offside, or from a cross-section perspective, something like that. So that's going to be a much more accurate thing, and it's going to be semi-automated, so it will communicate with referees whether the play was offside or not at the start. Let it run because of the error with the potential errors with the system, obviously, and all of that. And then you can raise a flag and immediately reach a decision of, oh, it's offside, without having to draw those physically false lines. Harry's walked away. It's boring. Other I did want to add. Oh, Harry, we've lost you there, pal. We've turned your camera off.
I think he's gone to get something.
Yeah, he might not be. I did not enjoy referee talk at all, by the way, as well.
Oh, come on, Ali. You like the rant a little.
No, I hate it. I feel physically sick at this moment in time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I forgot what my other 2 points were, but it's bad.
Yeah, it's not great, and I think there can be a compromise, especially with the offsides. Like you said, there seemed to be a pushback on that for the lines, and that would have been absolutely perfect. I think if the lines are touching, you scrap it off. Like that, or you go with the original sort of decision potentially. But it's so weird they've reverted back to this really sort of. It's almost guesswork, in my opinion. It really is guesswork, and clear and obvious offsides. There've been many. There've been a few, and that's. I completely agree with that, because that does feel unfair. That does feel unjust.
The reply to that would be that clear and obvious point doesn't apply to offsides because they're black and white. It's been the cliche.
But there's no black and white when you've got a naked eye.
Exactly.
So for example, if it's touching, then it's not black and white. If it's clearly over, I've got no qualms with that. Absolutely no problem. But football's a marginal game. But yeah.
Whatever, man. The last thing is that there was, I don't remember who talked about it. It must have been either a manager or a pundit, but it was a pundit. It was a Sky Sports pundit. I don't remember who it is, but just all of this time. Welcome back, Harry. Wave to the camera.
Thank you, mate. That was some experts. That was some expert stuff there. Really riveting.
Really riveting. Just my last point about referees, and the reason why I keep talking about this so much offline is offline. I said, like, outside of the podcast. I mean, is this that was mentioned in Sky Sports? And I don't remember the pundit that said it, but you work so much over the week on very specific game plans and very specific match preparation and fitness preparation and technical preparation that's specifically modeled to the opposition. You get your goal, you get what you've deserved all game, and then you have it chalked off for these silly reasons, these childish reasons. It's not right, and it's unjust, and it's unfair, and that's why I'll keep bringing it up. I'll never get tired of it. I don't enjoy it. It makes me feel physical, like, sickness, but I'll keep bringing it up.
No, I agree. Let's be honest. We're all partisan. We all want, when we say we want better decisions, we want more decisions going for our team.
I'm fuming about Alexander Isak.
But Ali, my point is, and what I think we all agree on is, nobody likes what it does to the spectacle.
Absolutely.
And when you're watching it, and then it's a goal, but then is it a goal? And then it either is a goal again, or it's not a goal. It's just, it's awful. It really is awful. And I just don't think there's a form that they can, like, refine it to. that will make it any less unbearable. But I also don't think it's going anywhere. So, like, just make your peace with it, and that's what I'm gonna do. So let's move on.
Hopefully, this covers all referee talk for like the first half of the season. Let's say, like,
yeah, I just think you literally just take that blanket segment and chuck in whatever incident you want, and it will probably apply. We haven't even mentioned the Brighton one, where it's a perfectly good goal. No one's appealing for offside, and then it gets pulled back for a margin offside.
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa as well. Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah. It's just, it's tiresome. But
whatever, man.
Moving on, looking ahead. Looking ahead. What are the fixtures that catch your eye this week, Ali, in the Champions League? Because I don't watch the Champions League anymore because we're not in it.
Hey, ha ha ha. I see Celtic Real Madrid and think yes, atmosphere. I'm looking forward to that.
That's look quite good as well, actually. Within the Scottish League, granted, but they've been playing some good football. They absolutely pumped Rangers at the weekend.
Yeah, 4-0. So that'll be interesting. My prediction for the score is like 4-1. So Real Madrid score first, Celtic score, and the place goes like completely ballistic, right? But then Real Madrid like score 3 within 30 minutes at the end.
I
look forward to watching that.
No, he's at Tottenham, isn't he? I was just saying, Fraser Forster still played for them because
no, it's Tottenham now.
You think to that game, what was it, 2013?
Joe Hart.
It's Joe Hart. Wow. Okay.
Joe Hart.
Okay. Right. I can see it.
Well.
I can see it. I can see him having his Fraser Forster moment of just like it was unbelievable that game. And they beat him 2-1. Just crazy.
PSG,
any others?
PSG Juventus, because Juventus are in a bit of a state at the moment. And PSG are PSG. So PSG are. I think Kylian Mbappe. I only read a headline just before we started. It's like, okay, here's the headline actually right in front of me. Mbappe describes the Neymar relationship as "quote unquote" hot and cold ahead of Juve clash. So there's interesting stuff happening there. I dislike both teams generally, so it would be nice to see either one of them absolutely thump the other, or it'd be a really boring 0-0.
Yeah.
Just an irrelevance of a game. Napoli Liverpool, of course, because I have a vested interest and I'm quite worried.
They've got a rotten record there as well.
Yeah, it's not gonna be. I'm not gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be probably 1-1 or 2-0 Napoli. I hate the fact that Napoli are with us again, and the referee that is on this one is it's not to criticize him or anything. It's the referee that was the one in the Napoli game when we last played them at Anfield, 2019, in a group game, and it finished 1-1, and he was just giving like very odd decisions and
was it?
And no, it's like it's not for Liverpool. It's like for both teams, just someone jumping up for an alien challenge. He'd give a foul. Like what? Like are we not supposed to touch at all? Like.
Yeah,
it's just a very odd game from that point of view. Inter Bayern Munich, though, is the game of the round.
The group of death.
Oh yeah, Inter just lost yesterday to Milan 3-2. Not yesterday, Sunday, 3-2. I got it. I missed that. It was a great game. It looked like I watched like bits at the end, but that'll be the one I think. They have Barcelona also in the group and Victoria Plitzen. So poor Victoria Plitzen having played with Barcelona.
I reckon they get a result.
At Camp Nou.
At Camp Nou, yeah.
Maybe at home. I mean, Barcelona are having a pretty strong start this season. They just won 3-0 against Sevilla away.
According to Google, the win probability of Victoria Plitzen is 2%. So,
and that's why you think they're gonna get a result. Of course, in typical George fashion. So yeah, that's the Champions League this week.
Well,
yeah, I'd probably say watch Celtic Real Madrid for sure, and watch Inter Bayern. That's probably what I'm gonna do. Except Napoli play Liverpool, I'll probably have it like 2 screens or whatever. So
you watch the team you support.
Might do.
But I really want to watch Inter Bayern as well. So I'll have Inter Bayern on my second screen. But for the neutrals or anyone that doesn't support Liverpool, watch Inter Bayern.
Yeah, well, all I want to say is the Champions League anthem is nothing on the glorious tones of the Europa League. Finally
It is a
making
better
its
song.
return this season. Oh,
On a
oh,
Thursday night.
I
What a
can't
time.
wait. I cannot wait for that game. I
Who
don't
are
even
you
know when
playing,
it's on.
Harry? Who are you
Playing
playing?
Zurich, mate. Playing Zurich. I
Oh,
would have gone to that,
wow.
actually. I would have gone to it, but can't this week. If it had been any other match day, I'd have been able to get over there, but can't this. It's really hard to get over there at the moment. There's just not many flights.
Yeah.
There's loads of tickets going spare. But it's a very nice place, Zurich, very picturesque. So it's a good away day for those guys that are going to be able to get over there, and hopefully watch us win with an under 19s team, because I don't want to see us playing anyone serious in that game.
I don't blame you.
No, exactly. So
Yeah.
The long and short of it is I don't take the Europa League seriously until March. Then you sort of see some of the good teams left in it, if you can call them good. But
Yeah.
the group stages is just a procession, really. As with the Champions League, to be honest, where with most groups, let's be honest, you can pretty much say who's going to go through most times. There aren't that many upsets that happen. I know Barca went out in the group last year, but you can see why the format, and it probably warrants more of a discussion than what we'll give it now, but it warrants revamping in terms of, I think it's grown a little bit stale with the 8 groups of 4, and you get some really poor teams that you just know are going to lose all their group games and just make numbers up. So
can I point out one more game?
Because go for it.
Ludogorets play Roma at the same time as the Arsenal game. Roma lost 4-0 to Udinese.
They did. A good friend of mine's a Udinese fan, actually. He was saying Mourinho was up to his usual tricks after the game, actually. He's sort of going on about Dybala getting a booking or something at 4-0 down. Just classic Mourinho, deflection, diversion, whatever you want to call it. Draw attention to anything but his team and himself. Mainly himself, to be fair. He's pretty happy to throw his team under the bus when it suits him. It's just bizarre. And I think, granted, they did win the Conference League last year, but they were pretty awful in some of the league games last year. And even in the Conference League, they lost to Bodo Glimt a couple of times. Who were in our group, funny enough, in the Europa League. So look out for an upset there. Cool. Well, I think we've covered everything tonight, boys. Anything else to add?
Short King of the Week.
Short King of the Week. Not Lisandro Martinez. I'll tell you that. He got dog walked.
Yeah, he got cooked.
He did. I couldn't believe when I was on Twitter today and I saw shouts that Varane's the best centre back in the league at the moment, and B, that Varane and Martinez are the best partnership in the league at the moment. I mean, well done, Man United. You got a good win, but God dear, they do talk some bollocks, don't they? Short King of the Week. Sorry.
I have a pretty different mention. Nobody's gonna agree because he's in the MLS. Ricky Puig. Remember the
no one's going to agree to know who he is.
You don't know Ricky Puig.
No.
Is actually, you don't know who Ricky Puig is?
No.
What the hell, Harry? He was in Barcelona. He was like
a
squad
Pooch.
player.
You said Pooch. That was
that's how you pronounce it.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you said Puig, then yeah.
Yeah, Ricky Puig. However you want to say it then. Ricky Puig.
He didn't play many games for Barcelona, did he?
He didn't because he was kind of frozen out, but undoubted quality, and he used to a couple seasons ago. Until Pedri and Gavi came along and they started playing. But he went to LA Galaxy bizarrely. Very bizarrely. And he's just too good for the MLS. Within a week, on Wednesday and then yesterday, he played those 2 ridiculous through balls that are just the 2 passes of the season, all the way from midfield into the area. One was an assist for Chicharito. The other was an assist for a penalty that Chicharito actually scored late on in the game before he missed that penalty that we watched at the start. So that's my short king of the week because I couldn't think of any in the Premier League. It's just
cool. I've got a good one. I think I'll top you. I have.
Go on,
George. Do you want to get first crack?
Yeah, we mentioned him before actually. McAllister.
No, you bastard!
Played really well. Great goal.
How tall is McAllister? I didn't know.
He's 174. I was literally just checking.
Okay, yeah. If I'd known he's that
174.
Short, I would have probably given it to him.
You
I've read your mind.
You have. literally because he had that absolute belter disallowed and then responded by scoring 2, and one of them being
yeah.
Humper.
Winning goal.
Yeah.
If you two didn't mention McAllister, I would have.
Yeah.
It's good that it's an agreement. I would have actually switched from Puig to McAllister.
Oh,
It's
you!
good.
I cannot believe I've gone to give you first.
I've
literally gone to do it as sort of a matter of being polite, and you've gone and just
You've learned your lesson, pal. You've learned.
I'm not gonna lie, you've stumped me now. You really have. Are there any others? I guess Pickford. Pickford's short for a keeper. Pickford's short king of the week. He's got small arms. I'm picking Pickford.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I'm reverting and picking McAllister then.
No, I think Pickford. He's so small. Like, he is so small, and he was brilliant.
He's 6'1" going on 5'2". Like,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm switching to Pickford, 100%.
Yeah, there we go. It's Pickford.
Yeah.
Pickford, short king of the week.
He's not
well
short.
done.
What
he is for a keeper, and he looks short as well. He's the smallest looking 6'1" man I've ever seen.
Are we going by looks now?
What's that? Let's go smallest keeper in the Premier League.
It's probably got to be Pickford, to be fair.
Yeah, I think so. He's 6'1", isn't he?
Yeah, he might.
David Raya. I think David Raya might be 5'11".
Yeah,
he is 5'11".
Yeah, there you go.
I completely disagree, but you two are saying Pickford. So
I think 6'1". I think 6'2" is like 6'2", 6'3" is the kind of threshold for an average size goalkeeper, I would say. And then anything over that is like, even over that, I would say is fairly standard. Really, keepers are massive.
I just feel
6'1" is small.
I just feel sorry for McAllister.
Yeah, so do I, mate. But George drove me to it. So Pickford's the short king of the week.
Sure.
Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Everton. Commiserations, Ali, because I know you would have been doing your head in on Saturday lunchtime. But it's well done to him. Congratulations to young Pickford. And with that, I think we've reached the conclusion tonight, gents. It's been a pleasure as always.
I did not enjoy it.
Thanks. Thanks very much. I hope the listeners did enjoy it.
Yeah.
We've gotten through to the end of this, and Ali's refereeing rant didn't drive you to turn the podcast off. Let us know down below if you do agree with his comments that referees aren't fit enough and can't keep up with the play.
Not fit for purpose, mate.
And we'll catch you all on the next one. Thank you very much. And I couldn't think of something as intelligent to say as what Fergal did.